Co-parenting literally sucks. I've been co-parenting now since, let's say, 2021. I've been ordered to pay my ex-husband child support since 2023. And it hasn't been fun at all, if I'm being completely honest. In the beginning, I think for anybody that has to pay child support, whether it be a man or a woman, I think that the biggest thing is focusing on what they're spending the money on. And one of the main things that I had to learn quickly was that if I can just think that the money, in my mind, even if it's not true, if I can just believe and hold on to the idea that the money is going towards my kids, then I'll be okay. Knowing that, okay, well, this is going towards daycare, aftercare, whatever the case is. I'm like, okay, then the money's being well spent. But the more that I focus on what he is doing with my money, the more stressed out I become, the more overwhelmed I become, the more bitter and irritated I become. Because, yes, in the beginning, I was like, why would any man want to take a woman to court for child support when you earn the same amount of money? Why would you, right? And regardless of what the reasoning is, regardless of the reasoning, whether it be spite or a true necessity, focusing on those things will quite literally drive you crazy. It will drive you crazy. Now that I think about it, is this how some men feel when they have to pay child support? I'm just curious. But if you guys have any questions, please comment. And
Boy, the amount of men that I done spoke to that are absolutely brokenhearted and devastated that not only do they have to fight to see their kid, but they also have to pay an egregious amount of money in child support. I think that more women should experience this. I believe that it should completely change since people are advocating against updating family court laws. I believe that in order to ensure that everybody has the child's best interests at heart, that it should change from time to time. So 1 or 2 years you get the primary custody and then you pay child support, and then the next 1 or 2 years they get primary custody and child support. And that's the only way that people are going to understand, because everybody is operating from a position of ignorance until they're in it. And so now that this woman has to pay $1,600 a month in child support, she's brokenhearted because she wants to make sure that every single dime that she's sending him, that she can monitor to ensure that it's going towards a child. Guys have been advocating for this for the longest, but now all of a sudden they want to, get this epiphany and say, I wonder if men are feeling this way, because I'm absolutely brokenhearted at the idea that I have to pay child support for somebody that I don't have any control over what it is that they're doing when they get the money. And that's how men are thinking a lot of times. They think that it's out of spite, or they just don't like the woman. No, they don't like the woman taking their money and spending it on somebody else while their child is out there looking crazy and stupid and snotty nose. And then imagine about the really high earners that have to pay an egregious amount of money. I was talking to Brian McKnight, and he said he had to pay $23,000 a month for the first, I think, couple of years, and then $18,000 a month in alimony and child support, all the way up until the child was 23 years old or she got remarried. And that's crazy to me. I just don't get it. I don't understand. How do you even have to pay alimony for that long, for over 10 years or some crap like that after y'all get divorced? That's insane to me.
I will be sure to get back to you, or maybe make a part 2. Being a baby mother is so ghetto, because how do you explain that you drive a G-Wagon, you live in a nice apartment, you buy designer clothes, designer shoes, designer bags, you travel, you do extraordinary things, right? But you can't pay for half of your child's tuition. You don't have a room for your child in your 2-bedroom apartment. You don't even have a bed for your child in your apartment. How do you explain that? 'Cause
You can't dictate how somebody else lives if you don't live with them. You don't get a say in the conversation. And I'm pretty sure that he has a completely different view, especially when it comes to how he spends his money and what he does with his resources. You don't get to dictate that. You don't get to dictate what kind of car they drive. You don't get to dictate. I'm pretty sure, right? If I had to guess, I would bet money. I would bet a huge amount of money on it that she decided to send the child to the school that the child is in is now demanding that he pays half the tuition, and I bet you he probably pays child support. I'm willing to bet that. But then she wants an additional amount based off of the lifestyle that she wants her child to have. And again, I think that y'all should be living with the person. Y'all should be married to the person if y'all have children. That is the most important decision that a child is ever going to experience, is how it is that they grow up, because it is going to inform them on how they're supposed to move once they get older. And so they're going to model it based off of the experience that they had with their parents. And so you don't get to dictate that. And it's unfortunate that you don't get to have a say in that. But it looks like you're driving a pretty nice car yourself.
The math isn't mathing, and so are the priorities.
I will say the hardest part about being a single mother is making decisions by yourself. I feel like that's been my biggest struggle because I don't know everything and I don't pretend to know everything. But it would just be nice to have somebody to, or it would have been nice because at this point I'm over it, but it would have been nice to have somebody to bounce ideas off of. You know, like making decisions by yourself all of the time kind of gets tiring, stressful, draining, and then it's just like fuck, because obviously I don't have all the answers. Being a parent in itself is a learning fucking experience. Like, you know, like we're all learning as humans, as individuals every day. So, you know, yeah. That to me, like that's the biggest thing that I feel like that gets to me outside of the financial aspect of it. It's literally just having conversations in regards to my kid rather than this is coming up and I gotta figure it out, you know, or I gotta make the final say, so I gotta make that decision, rather than being able to talk to somebody, be like, oh, like what you think, you know, because when you have somebody to bounce ideas off of, because you know this is your kid too, it just makes things easier, you know, to get some insight. Oh, how you know, like how you view that, this, that, and the third. Y'all go back and forth. All right, cool. So this is what we about to do, you know. But nah, it's just me. This is coming up. Yeah, Tyra got to figure it out, make it happen. You know, and that's literally been my biggest thing ever since she was like really, really small. She's 5 now. I'm over that. But you know, things and needs and wants and all of that shit change as you know they grow. That don't make my shit no easier, but like, damn. I would say to me, my personal experience, for me, that's the hardest thing. I'm pretty sure somebody gonna get in the comments and say something else.
Yeah, but here's the thing. What's stopping you from including him? What's stopping you from communicating effectively? Did you not know that he was an effective or not an effective communicator when you decided to open up your legs to him, or was it all based off of emotions and how you felt about him, not whether or not he was a good steward or he was a great parent? And I'm wondering, what are the stipulations for him being able to communicate effectively, and why is that lack of communication there or bitterness there? Right? It's so many more questions, and I understand, right? You always got to put the best interest of the child forward, but at the same time, I'm always curious as to why people are moving the way that they're moving, and why it's so difficult for them to have a more fruitful experience for their children when making decisions. And a lot of times they make the wrong decision. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon link is in the description. Teach Henley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.